Hi there everyone, my name's Wayne, I'm the Armchair Red and welcome to my channel. So firstly, you might see we have a bit of a new set today. That's because I'm currently on holiday. But what I did want to chat to you about today in this episode of You'll Never Talk Alone is the Premier League title race. As you know, it's the closest title race in recent memory. Three teams at the top of the table separated by 1 point. Arsenal and Liverpool tied at the top, separated only on goal difference. Manchester City just 1 point behind. So what I've done today is I've looked at the last 10 games for each one of these three teams. I've predicted what I think the results are going to be in those final 10 games for each team. And we'll see, based on those results, who I think is going to win the Premier League this season. So it's only right to start with Arsenal. They are top of the league, and they probably have the toughest return fixture now after the international break. So let's run through their 10 fixtures quickly. So first up, as you know, they've got Manchester City away. Tough game, but I feel that game's going to end up in a draw. So I was debating whether City could possibly take that game, but my view is Arsenal away at City is going to be a draw. Their next game's quite easy, Luton at home, I've gone with a win. Their next game after that, Brighton away, I've gone with a win. Aston Villa at home, I've gone with a win. Wolves away, this is a tricky one. Wolves away, I've actually gone with a draw. I think that may be a potential banana skin for Arsenal. Chelsea at home, I've gone with a win. Tottenham away, big North London derby, I've gone with a draw. Bournemouth at home, I've gone with a win. Manchester United away, I've gone with a draw. I think that might be a tricky one as well for them. And then for their final game of the season, Everton at home, I've gone with a win. So in their last 10 games, I'm predicting that Arsenal are going to walk away with 22 points out of their last 10 games, which will put them on 86 points for the season. So that's 22 plus their current 64 will give them 86. Let's move on to Liverpool. So straight after the international break, Liverpool have got Brighton at home. I've gone with a win there. After that, they've got Sheffield United at home. I've gone with a win there. Then it's the tricky one, Man United away. As you know, United recently beat Liverpool in the FA Cup in the quarterfinals at Old Trafford. I'm going with a draw in that game. After that, they've got Crystal Palace at home. I'm going with a win. Then we've got Fulham away. This Fulham away game to me is a little bit tricky. I've gone with a draw in that game. After that, we've got the Merseyside derby, Everton away. I've gone with a win there for Liverpool. West Ham away, I've gone with a win. Tottenham at home, I've gone with a win, assuming there's no interference from VAR. Aston Villa away, another potential tricky game for Liverpool. I've gone with a draw in that game. And then the final game of the season for Liverpool, they've got Wolves at home, and I've gone with a win over there. Excuse me. So Liverpool's last 10 games, I'm predicting they'll get 24 points out of the last 30 points available, which will leave them on 88 points for the season. And finally, let's get to Man City. So their first game after international break, they host Arsenal, which is going to be a tough game. Like I said, I originally was going with a Man City winning that game, but I've actually decided to go with a draw. After that, they've got Aston Villa at home, which should be a tricky game, but I think they will win that game. Then they've got Crystal Palace at home. Crystal Palace away. I think that's a win for them. Then they've got Luton at home. That's definitely a win for them. Then there's a tricky one, Tottenham. Tottenham and Man City have a bit of a history. Spurs have appeared to be a bit of a bogey team for Man City. So I've actually gone for an away draw there for Man City. After that, they've got Brighton away, which I've gone for the win. Nottingham Forest away, I've gone for another win. Wolves at home, I've gone for another win. Then again, Fulham away. I've got a very similar feeling as with the Liverpool game that this could be a tricky game for Man City as well. So I've put a draw down there. And their final game of the season, which is West Ham at home, I've gone for a win. So out of City's last 30 points available, I've got them taking 24, which means they'll end on 87 points. So by my reckoning, if I look at the last 10 games of the season, and if the results had to go this way, you will have noticed I haven't gone for one loss. So that's also quite a big statement. I've pretty much predicted none of these three teams are going to lose any of their last 10 games of the season, which is practically a third of a season going unbeaten. But that's what I've worked out here. I think 3 are very strong. They're in very good form at the moment. There's lots of goals in all 3 of these teams. That's why there's no losses. But by my reckoning, Liverpool are going to take the title on 88 points, 1 point ahead of City on 87, and City 1 point ahead of Arsenal on 86. So again, 3 teams at the end of the season potentially separated by 2 points. Very, very, very tricky. There's some draws that I've put in here that, in my view, could potentially go either way. I've been a bit conservative with some of these draws just because I feel in a lot of those away games, some of those teams are particularly tricky on their own ground. So that's why I've slotted in a few draws for all 3 of these teams. Those draws might turn into wins, which will change the entire picture in terms of where we end up in the Premier League. We only need one of those draws to turn to a win, and we're talking about the teams moving into 90 points in a season rather than in the 80s where I've currently predicted them. But the bottom line is, this is going to be an epic title race. It already has been an epic title race. I only hope that with 10 games to go, we don't have any VAR talking points that are going to deflect from the results of the games, because ultimately what we want is we want the 22 players that are on the field at any one time to dictate the outcome of these last 10 games for each one of these teams. That would be a fitting way to end the league this season without any more controversy. I still maintain if City win the league by a point or 2, there are going to be lots of questions asked based on some of the VAR decisions this season, but we'll put that aside for now. We'll look at the last 10 games. We look at where we think the teams are going to end up. And I'm happy to say, based on these predictions, I think Liverpool are going to win the league this season. It might be coming from a very biased source. I don't mind that. But if it ends up like this, obviously I will be very happy. But I've tried to be as conservative as possible in some of these predictions. But that's ultimately what I've come out with. So just to reiterate, Liverpool on 88 points, Man City on 87 points, Arsenal on 86 points. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what your predictions are for the last 10 games, because, like I said, this can go either way. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, if you've seen some of the other videos on my channel, do me a favor, please like, please subscribe. You'll really make my day. But that's from my side. That's everything. Everyone, look after yourselves. Armchair Red. Out.